Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Tvameva Mata Cha Pitattvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakhattvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Amadeva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Gurudeva Deva. Hari Om. We are now doing the Yoga Vasistha. I call it Yoga Vasistha 2, and this is the second part of the series of Yoga Vasistha, where first part was covered long before, where Sage Vasistha discusses with Rama how to realize and what is the nature of realized state also. And in this second part, that based on the Swami Tejamananda's book on Yoga Vasistha Sara Sangraha, which you can get in the Chinmaya Mission bookstores, we are doing the chapter 5, where Sage Vasistha discusses the 7 steps involved in gaining the knowledge or in abiding the knowledge. And we are doing that. Let's chant the Yoga Vasistha invocation song first, or the sloka first. Yata sarvani bhutani pratibhanti sthitani cha yatraivopashamam shanti tasmai satyatmane namaha. Together. Yata sarvani bhutani pratibhanti sthitani cha yatraivopashamam shanti tasmai satyatmane namaha. This is the invocation song, invocation sloka in the Yoga Vasistha, and we discussed this exhaustively in the part 1 of the Yoga Vasistha series, where the sloka itself is summarizes the whole of Yoga Vasistha in the form of a Mangalacharanam, that is the invocation. And now we are doing the steps, and we completed the 4 steps involved of the 4 of the 7 steps. And what are the 7 steps? And the 4 that we covered is, first one is Subha Ichcha, that means desire to know. So desire to know comes only, desire to know what? Desire to know the absolute truth, that the Aham Brahmasmi is the absolute truth, because from there the universe came, by which it is sustained, and it which it goes back. It covers both the subject and object, and together and their interrelationship. And that comes, that Subha Ichcha, desire to know, comes only after recognition that I am really confused otherwise. Without the knowledge, I am only living a day-to-day life, and that is not helping me to solve the problem. What's the problem? Everybody is looking for happiness. So the problem is, people have concluded they are unhappy as they are. However much they have, however much enjoyment they have, however beautiful things they have, still they are not happy. How do you know that? Because they want some more things. Obviously they are not happy with what they have. And if they get some more things, you think they will be happy? Again they want some more and more, until they stop longing for objects or longing for enjoyments or longing for anything, until the mind is completely full with everything that it can find. That means it has to have infinite. And finite mind cannot have an infinite understanding or infinite possessions, because its mind is finite. So only way this cannot be solved, because I want some more, at the same time whatever I get is still limited, and the only way is I want to become completely full, and a finite thing cannot become full, means infinite, but I cannot stop trying to be. Life after life that has been going on, once recognize that I am in fact is a stupid, because I am looking for what I already have. So that's what stupidity here. It says Mudaha, that means I'm living life after life after life, trying to get happiness where I am already happy as I am, because my nature is fullness. My nature, in fact, happiness I get outside is only from me only. I am indirectly trying to get what I am, or trying to recognize myself through other means. and that became a problem because now I need other means in order to see myself. Just as I need a mirror to see myself, I am looking for objects in order to recognize that I am full or I am Ananda. And the very recognition of my ignorance is the basic step for which I need to know then, because no one can stand ignorance, and Subha Ichcha is longing to know the truth, and that is the step one. But longing to know is not sufficient. You need to make an effort, and that requires, this is not a physical effort, this is a mental exercise, because mind wants to know. Knowledge can only be gained through study and therefore inquiry, vicharana, research. That's what researching means. It's already there, but we don't recognize it, therefore we are researching in. That's what in science also you are doing research, because it is there but it's covered by the ignorance. So that's called vicharana. And the third step is, once I start inquiring, it is satyapatti. That is the third step is called tanumanasa. Mind has to become subtle to inquire. It's not an objective science. It's not trying to find out the truth about objects. For that I need a sharp mind. But here is the mind that, internet working, Jayanti, internet working, because I see some signs there. So the Subha Ichcha means an inquiry to recognize that the Tanumanasa, a mind that is subtle enough to inquire. How does the mind become subtle? Mind is already subtle, but mind has to become super subtle. That means Sukshma Buddhi. Sukshma Buddhi, the other objective sciences, we need a Tichna Buddhi, a sharp intellect. Here we need a subtle intellect. Subtle intellect means a mind has to be purified so that it can look at itself. In the other cases, it's looking outside for objects, so it has to be sharp. Whereas to look inwards, to see the truth behind it, for that, mind has to be sensitive enough to see and not to get carried away with the external things or reflecting things, but see what causes the reflection itself. And that is what is called tanumanasa. That means subtle development of a subtle mind. How do you develop a subtle mind? By proper discipline of the mind, purification of the mind. And by how? By karma yoga, upasana yoga. All yogas are meant for or intended for not to recognize the truth, but to purify the mind so that it can recognize the truth. So it is a preparation of the mind, and that's where the karma yoga and upasana yoga comes into picture. So karma yoga is it makes mind purified enough so that it can look at itself to see the truth behind it. So what is the looking at itself means? It means that because of which mind itself become a conscious entity. That's what looking at means. This mind has to observe. When I say I am conscious entity, mind is not self-conscious entity. The consciousness that mind exhibits is only reflected consciousness, chidabhasa. And reflection cannot be there unless there is an original consciousness. And also reflecting medium, of course. And the reflecting medium is dirty, then the reflection is also bad. That means the mind is not able to look itself. And for that only you have to purify the mind. And the chittasya suddhaye karmanat vastu upalabhyate. Shankaracharya says in the Atma Bodha, karma yoga only purifies the mind. And purification is like a polishing the mirror so that the reflection of the light can occur beautifully. If the mirror is all clouded, then you cannot see the reflection. Just as after taking hot water bath and then come out and look at your mirror, the mirror is all clogged with the steam or the condensed water that you cannot see your own reflection. You have to clean the mirror. And what is the cleaning? Cleaning is not making any more, but cleaning is so that the reflection can be as good as the original. And looking at the reflection, I can recognize myself. looking at the mirror, I can see my face. But it's not the mirror, it's not the image. What I'm seeing is only my face only. If there's a defect in the image that I see, I'm not going to rub the mirror unless the defect is coming from the mirror problem. But if it is on the face, then look at the image and clean my face and look it again. That's how we decorate our face, by looking at the image. We are not decorating the image, we are decorating the original face. Same way, recognition of the original using the reflection is a means, because I cannot see myself. I can only see through reflections, and that is, for that I need the pure mind, and that is Tanumanasa. And the fourth step is we discussed is called Satyapattihi. Satyapattihi means Satya Atmani Sthitihi. That means the mind, once purified, recognize that the consciousness that I am is not from this, that is from the mind, it is from the pure consciousness. So neti neti, that means not this, not this, not this, but because of which all this can be seen. So looking at every object, I had to recognize the original consciousness, because of which I am seeing the object. I am conscious of this object, I am conscious of this, I am conscious of that. So that thing I am conscious of is only reflected consciousness, but reflection cannot be there without the original, and therefore my attention is to look. While looking at the reflection, consciousness, recognize cognitively that I am pure consciousness. That is realization. Otherwise, realization becomes confusing. Who realizes what? Pure Satchidananda doesn't need any realization. It is one without a second. And mind cannot recognize by itself, because mind is inert. So recognition is that mind which is activated by the consciousness through the reflection process, recognizes that the reflection of the consciousness by itself is from the original. Leaving the reflecting medium, pay attention to the original. That is the self-realization. And as I abide in the original, that is called Satya Atmani Siddhi. The more the mind shifts into that, initially it's an effort is involved. And that is what essentially in the sloka that I think it's Sri Krishna Karnamratam, the Leela Shloka, talks about Anganam Andare Madhavam, Madhavam Antare Angana, Ittama Kalpite Madhyage. I forgot the rest of the two lines. But anyway, the Anganam Antare Madhavam. So between Angana, that is Gopika, that is Rasa Kreda is going on, and that's what he is describing. Between the Angana, between the Gopi and Gopi, there is a Krishna there. So the dance is going on, every Gopi is dancing, and between every Gopi there is a Krishna also. So first line is attention is on the Gopi. That is, the Gopi is a reflecting medium. That is, attention is on the mind. And where reflection is, because between the Gopi and Gopi there is a Krishna, and between the every thought and a thought and a thought there is a consciousness beaming through. And so this is a thought consciousness. So this is what initial meditation is. When I am looking at japa, so Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Narayanaya. So each is like a Gopi, each is one, and there is a gap, and in the gap is a silence, and in that silence there is no thought there, but there is a Krishna there. That is what Anganam Antare Madhavam. And in the next line, Madhavam Antare Angana. So between Krishna and Krishna there is a Gopi. So it's the same statement looks like, because every gopi there is a Krishna. Obviously every Krishna and every Krishna there is in between gopi. But the point is the attention of the poet now shifts from gopi to Madhava. So attention is not on the gopi anymore, it's on the Madhava. That means a thought and a thought and a thought, but consciousness illumining the thought, consciousness illumining the thought. So consciousness, thought is, consciousness, thought is. So my attention is not anymore on the thought. So neti neti, not the thought, not the thought, not the thought, but that because of which thought is known, thought is illumined. And that's essentially, every thought is required. Without thought I cannot recognize the Krishna there or recognize the consciousness, because you need a reflecting medium. At the same time I have to drop the reflecting medium and look at the reflecting medium again and see the consciousness, that because of which the reflecting medium itself is able to reflect. That means it appears to be a conscious entity. That is essentially Sattvapattihi. So the more I abide in that Madhava, 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 that is, I am pure consciousness, I am pure consciousness. So Ahaminashabha Jahamaham Taya. So this original I am is, which is egotistical I am, is dropped, but looking at that consciousness because of which I even say I am. And that is what is the Sattvapattihi. And each stage takes a long process of meditation, contemplation and inquiry involved. And the more I shift my attention to that, more I start seeing the beauty of that, and more I get abide into that. And that's what essentially the next stage that is being described in this sloka 5. Dasha chatushtaya bhyasat, Dasha chatushtaya bhyasat, asam sangapalena cha, asam sangapalena cha, ruda sattva chamatkara, ruda sattva chamatkara, prokta samsakti namika, prokta samsakti namika, prokta asamsakti namaka. So dasha chatushta abhyasat. So after reaching a state of chatushta abhyasat, the practicing of the 4 states. So here the Vasistha is very clear. You cannot just go one step, second step. You have to practice at each step until the mind is established in that step. The same thing is called the Adhyaropa Apavada, where stage by stage the mind is taken and you go from one step to that. Just as in the education, any education involves where you go from grade to the next grade to next grade. As it masters that grade, you are promoted to the next grade, and you master that, you promote to the 3rd grade. Same way, the promotion of the steps is also, you have to become master of that, then you go to the next step. That's what here statement is. Dasha Chatustabhyasat. The 4th after the completion of the practice of these 4 states that are discussed so far, that is the Subhaicha and the Vicharana and Tanumansa and Sattvapattihi. Those are the 4 stages that we discussed. And the next stage is Asamsanga Palena Cha. So as a result of the asamsangam, that means this as a result of detachment. Detachment from what? Detachment from the reflecting medium to that because of which reflection occurs. That's what is the attention is. So I need the medium. The problem is I cannot discard the medium. I need the medium, and I have to look at the medium, but my attention should be not on the medium, but that because of which medium is known. This is what has to be clear. Even in Vedanta, people say you drop all the thoughts. It's a thoughtless state. It's not a thoughtless state involving removal of the thought. Then it becomes another struggle. The mind cannot but think. So it is not a removal of the thought. A thoughtless state is a state where your attention is not on the thoughts. you need a thought. Just as looking at the moon, your attention should be the light that is falling on the moon, that is getting reflected by the moon. Because I need the moon to reflect. Without the moon, I cannot see the sunlight where the moon is. Therefore, to see the sunlight where the moon is, I need the moon to reflect. Same way, I need the thought, or I need the mind itself to reflect it. Without the mind, I cannot recognize. So this has to be very clear. Go beyond the mind, or stop thinking, or go beyond the thoughts. These are the suggestions that are done. You have to control the thoughts in the sense that, because if the mind is flooded with the thoughts, you have no way to look at the mind also. So you need to quieten down the mind. So a thought is provided to the mind so that mind can still keep thinking about the thoughts. At the same time, your attention is not on the thoughts. How do you do that? That is the essence of Japa Yoga. Japa Yoga is you are provided a thought, and same thought is being repeated. So mind is still, thoughts are rising, but your attention is not on the japa thought itself. Attention is that because of which I am able to see my thought, or I am able to be conscious of the thought. So it is a reflection of the consciousness that is reflected by the thought. So that's what is the Upanishad talks about. Yan manasa na manute enahur manomatam tadeva brahma tvam viddhi nidam yadidam upasate. That which mind cannot think. So it's not a thought process. It's not I can conceptualize the Brahman. So it's not a concept. So yan manasa na manute. But enahur manomatam, that because of which mind and the thoughts can be seen or can be known. So that because of which mind has a capacity to think, or the mind has capacity to see the thought that arises in the mind also. So I am conscious of the thoughts. I am conscious of my mind. So what is that because of which I am conscious of? That is a reflected consciousness, and from the reflected consciousness, I have to recognize the original consciousness, which cannot be seen otherwise, which cannot be known otherwise, which cannot be perceived otherwise, which cannot be thought otherwise. So this is a very subtle cognitive process. That's why a subtle mind is required, which was one of the requirements in the step called Tanumanasa. So this detachment, now what is I am detaching? Detaching from every this that arises. So that is the real asangam. That is the real detachment. Sage naike amrutattvamanasahu. So when scripture says only by renunciation you are going to reach the amrutam, you are going to reach the immortality. What is that I am renouncing? Renouncing is renouncing identification with the thoughts, renouncing the paying attention to the thoughts. Then I need the thought, but look that because of which thought is seen. That is the real renunciation, and that is the real sannyasa, and that is called asamsakti. That means the non-association or non-union. This is the chatushta asamsangena palena, because of completely training of lifting the mind from this aspect of the thought to that because of which this aspect of the thought is seen or conscious of. That subtle reflection, that is called viveka. The viveka is nitya anitya vastu viveka. What is nitya part? That eternal beam of light of consciousness that is illumining all the time, whether the presence of the thought or absence of the thought. So that is a nityam. The thoughts come and go. That is anityam. So viveka is shifting the attention of the mind to that because of which the thoughts arise in the mind, and I am conscious of the mind, and that because of which even the mind itself is known, and without which the mind cannot know. By who? By the mind itself. So I need the mind to recognize that I am not the mind, and that because of which I am able to say I am not the mind also, and also I am conscious entity. That mind exhibits. the consciousness the mind exhibits, that's called Siddhabhasa, is due to reflection of the original consciousness. I cannot see the original, but seeing the reflection, I recognize the original. That is the subtlest aspect involved, and that comes from asamsakti, by non-union. Asamsakti means without having two things at all. So what is my two things? One is the thought and the other is consciousness. So by paying only attention to the thought, that is attention to the consciousness that is illumining the thoughts, I am not paying attention. That is one called essentially asamsangaha. That means dissociation with the all objects involved, but association with that, because of which I am conscious of every object in the world. So that is essentially called asamsakti. Asamsakti is non-union. There is non-union means there are no two things. To unite is there is only you require two things to unite. But when in the state of understanding, there is only one. That's essentially what implication of what namaste means also. We join one hand and we join the other hand and put namaste. So what are we doing? My hand represents myself, your hand represents, my other hand represents you, and we are joining together and become one, and that is essentially asamsakti. That means non-union. That means there are no two more, it's one. That means I see oneness that pervades between you and me. That's what is the greeting of the Hindu tradition. So Namaha, I am not there. That's all. Also na amaha, na aham. So that means when I prostrate to the Lord, I am saying Namo Namaha, means I am not there. It is not Jiva that is not there. What is there is this tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati, that because of which everything is illumined, and that is essentially the truth, absolute truth. And the asamsanga phalena ruda sattva chamatkara prokta samsakti namika. So it is essentially the ruda sattva chamatkara, where the spectacle of pure being is shown, or extreme, where in the discard of the superficial names and forms, by rejecting that, I am paying attention to the essence of it, and that essence is I am. So here both not only the reflecting aspect of it, but even the mind itself is also part of the totality only. That comes from the Vedanta, because it says he himself became many, or I myself became many. So including the objects that are reflecting is also me only. So I became an object to reflect, and I become a subject that is reflecting. Both subject, object both are coming from me only. And that is the truth that is being discussed in the Vedanta. And it says Aham Brahmasmi. Says I am Brahman, means I am infinite. So infinite cannot have any divisions, and there is no subject object duality. I am this very substratum, or the adhara for both of them. So here this step is very subtle step. As we go, as from one step to the other, the mind becomes a purer and purer. My attention to the pure consciousness shifting more and more. And Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi says, Ahamina ashabad jahamaham taya spurati hrutsvayam parama purna sad. When the other I am, that I am this, I am this, I am this, that is dropped out, my attention is not on this, but attention is on I am. Whose attention? Again the mind's attention only. There is no other instrument. So mind has to pay attention to the I am part and leave this part that includes the mind part. Looking at its own self, drop the reflecting itself and see that pure consciousness cognitively recognize that I am that, and claim that I am pure consciousness that I am. So Ruda Sattva Chamatkara. So Chamatkara is essentially a spectacle of that pure self is being more and more recognized that I am that, and the more I am recognizing, more I can easily drop out. So this is what Swami Paramarthananda calls it FIR. FIR means frequency of my perturbation, intensity of my perturbation, recovery time from perturbation decreases as I start shifting my attention to I am part, leaving this part, while I am this occurring all the time. So this is the essence of the Vedanta, this is the essence of self-realization, where I had to recognize using the mind only and looking at the mind or looking at the thought that rises in the mind. So mind has both the subject and the object of thoughts, both are arising in the mind, and looking at that, shifting my attention from the reflecting medium to that because of which the things are reflected, the original consciousness that is getting reflected. And this becomes a union of subject-object where there is no duality, and there is one ekameva advitiyam. That means I rise from the whole, I am the substratum for the whole universe, and there I have to also pay attention to the reflecting medium is also me only. That comes from the Vedanta Sravana Banana Nididhyasana. With that we will stop here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.